Hi everyone. For this week, I thought a great segue from the Mexican jewelry segment we did last week. William Spratling was absolutely positively influenced by architecture, and this week we're doing a segment on Gianni Versace, and his influence was the Greek and Roman architecture, and you see it throughout his career, the infusion of that in his prints and also in a lot of his designs. Gianni Versace was an interesting personality because he started off early on. His mother was a dressmaker, a very successful dressmaker in Italy, and when he started to design for the label Gianni, that's with a G, and he designed various collections for Gianni, but in 1978 he broke off and started his own line, and he opened a boutique in Via della Spiega, if I said that correctly, and was an instant success. His designs appealed to so many people because they were kind of the antithesis of what was being produced at that time, fashion-wise. So one of the things I like about Gianni Versace is that he had an irreverence. He was bold enough to kind of say that I don't believe in good taste. And one of his famous quotes, and I'm not doing an exact quote, was that Giorgio Armani designed for wives, but he designed for mistresses. Woo! Anyway, his partnership with his family really was something that has allowed the continuation of his label 20 years after his death. And obviously his sister Donatella is an extremely important part of this legacy and continuation of the name. When you think about a timeline, if Versace opened up his boutique in '78, one of his most famous innovations was created in 1982, so just 4 years later, and that was the Orchid, which is the chainmail that he was so well known for. It's a super light mesh, because oftentimes, like if you see Whiting and Davis or even Paco Rabanne, there's tremendous weight involved, but he created this Orchid, and it was definitely a signature in the clothing that he created. Let's look at some of these really wonderful pieces that we have here. The first piece is what I call an Art Deco. It's pretty heavily beaded in glass beads with crystal. It's from the Atelier Versace line, and that started in 1989. It's the haute couture version of Versace. Although calling it haute couture is not correct because that's only French, but you get it. Anyway, what I love about this is it bloussons both in the bodice and in the skirt, and there's a very similar piece in the LA County Museum collection from the same, is it spring-summer of 1990. But that one is sleeveless and is more racer back. So, designers do variations of a collection even in the couture line. This piece is very familiar with people who are big fans of Gianni Versace. It was worn by Christy Turlington, and it's from his Spring-Summer 1992 collection. The difference is the one that Christy wore was strapless, and you'll see a lot of the iconic details, the heavy kind of Baroque button detail and the print. And I love the fact that it has pockets on the hip, because every girl loves a pocket, right? We also dress this dress form with a Versace choker. We have several pieces of Versace jewelry as well that we were not able to date, but we're going to show you after the fact because they're beautiful and they carry his iconic Medusa head. And then this fabulous piece we don't have a date on, but it is also Atelier Versace, so it's the couture version. It's a one-shoulder blouse and fantastic pants, and you can see that it's pretty sheer, all over beading with a serpentine beading pattern of seed beads sprinkled with flat faceted crystals. Just beautiful the way the design is on this. And then we come to the piece that makes my heart still skip a beat. It is part of his Chagall collection. If you look at the patterns on this jumpsuit, you'll see all these fantastic elements of that are in Chagall paintings, and it's front and back. Art has always had a discussion which is better, painting or sculpture, and Versace did kind of a riff with this wonderful piece by taking a classic Chagall painting and actually making it a sculpture by putting it on a bodysuit. So it becomes its own three-dimensional form of art. Gianni Versace was not just inspired by architecture, he was inspired by art. He was a lover of Andy Warhol, of Lichtenstein, and clearly of Chagall. And he was really innovative in utilizing techniques and mixing materials that had never been mixed before. He found ways to applique leather onto lace. In most of these beaded pieces, the technique that he used, which was not uncommon, was a tambour stitch, which is also known as a chain stitch. But the level of work and handwork is top of the line. He tried to experiment with materials that were outside the norm. And this is when we find amazing designers. Those are people who push the boundaries and not follow the quote-unquote rules that have been established in the past, follow the materials that have been used in the past. And for that we're grateful, because many of the pieces that he created will definitely stand the test of time. And then last but not least is an actual Orchid lightweight mesh dress. It has an asymmetrical hem. This piece, I think, would look a lot better if it's belted, so that you can actually see the definition of a female form. But it is from his Fall-Winter 84-85 collection, so it's shortly after he introduced Orchid. One of the things that we will associate with Gianni Versace is his use of supermodels and celebrity, which in fact was something that his sister, Donatella, was the proponent of. She was clearly a genius with marketing, because she could predict the end result, and it was not a path that Gianni was fond of, but he saw the effect and so succumbed to her insistence of using these people. You think about even the celebrity of Elizabeth Hurley, for example, when she went to the premiere of, I'm trying to remember which film, 4 Weddings and a Funeral, I believe, and that was in 1994. That safety pin dress that she wore is still referred to as that dress. I mean, can you get any more iconic than that? This gown is Versace Spring Summer 1994, and it's a variation on the Elizabeth Hurley gown, where her safety pins were strategically placed to show various parts of her body. And you can see how he's taken something extremely ordinary like a safety pin and has amped up the volume to make it glamorous, and also infusing his Medusa heads on the top part of the safety pins. So yeah, this is our version of the Elizabeth Hurley gown. You'll see Versace's use of iconic Greek and Italian motifs, the Greek key, for example, or the Medusa head, throughout his career. In fact, you'll see in his jewelry Medusa heads with plastic imprints. They're not intaglios, they're the opposite, they're reliefs, I guess. Most designers that have name recognition know that the way to really make money is to branch out. I I mean, perfumes, for example, is like one big cash cow for designers. But Versace was great because he not only designed several different lines for the Versace label, he designed furniture, homeware like dishes. He designed, I mean, pretty much everything you can think of. And in addition to that, he designed for the opera, for theater, for film. And part of his creativity was that he didn't want to delegate it. He did it all himself. So we have to say that keeping it as a family business was clearly a good thing, because Donatella had, she was a mastermind in marketing, and after his tragic death, she was able to keep the boat afloat, which was not, I'm sure, was like an unbelievably difficult task, dealing with her grief and dealing with this multi-million dollar corporation. And the proof is in the pudding, because a couple of years ago they did that wonderful retrospect where they revived a lot of the old prints. They brought back all of the supermodels from that time period when Gianni was alive, and the band plays on. So a lot of the questions and comments that we've gotten on the YouTube channel have been, where do I find these pieces? How much do they cost? And this is definitely top tier, so it's not for everyone. If you happen to find a piece like this, not high priced, go for it. Because I would say every single piece that's here are things that I bought in auction with competitive bidding, so I paid a pretty penny for them. Auctions are a great way to educate yourself about what fair market value is. Fair market value is a term that's used when you donate things to museums, the deduction that you're allowed to take, and also is a great indication of understanding what the threshold might be. So there are several places to look for auctions. In London, Carrie Taylor Auctions always carries the best of what's out there. On the East Coast, there's Karen Augusta Auctions. Typically her auctions are either at Brimfield, which is that huge flea market in Massachusetts 3 times a year, or she has an auction in New York in the Upper West Side. And then in Chicago, there's Leslie Hindman Auctioneers. So it might be worth investing in subscribing to their catalogs and getting the hammer prices so you can see how things fluctuate, how they increase in value. It's just a really good way to get familiar with prices. And, you know, this is literally the stock market. We have, you know, I made a joke on my Smithsonian show called, instead of being in the stock market, I'm in the frock market. And it's true, you know. These things, especially when a tragedy like unforeseen death occurs, the value catapults. So you can have fun and make money at the same time. What a novel idea. Oops. So that's it for this week. I'm gonna get ready to show you the show off. So see you in a minute. So for this week's show off, I thought we would show you something that you might not necessarily have an opportunity to see unless you were lucky enough to be in a town that has an exhibition on Kansai Yamamoto. Kansai Yamamoto is one of the great Japanese designers, but he has been eclipsed a little bit by Comme des Garçons, Rei Kawakubo, and Issey Miyake. But his influence on fashion and on fashion icons like David Bowie are pretty incredible. If you think of Ziggy Stardust and what David Bowie wore, that was Kansai Yamamoto. So this incredible piece was deaccessioned from a museum because it has some light condition issues. The thing I don't like to buy as is merchandise, but the condition issues, this is a fabric that's been treated with like a layer of plastic or vinyl, and the shoulder area is actually starting to shed a little bit. But what's so great about Kansai Yamamoto is he infuses Japanese culture into his fashions. And this is a jacket with dolman sleeves and a mini skirt. And the graphics are just divine. So do your homework. You'll get excited about knowing about Kansai Yamamoto. And if you have any Kansai pieces that you want to share, please email us or put a comment in the YouTube channel on this episode. So that's it for this week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.